Hi, my name is Emily Welsh, and I'm going to tell you about the Sinatra app that I built called ShopList. So right now you're viewing the GitHub page that has all the code for ShopList. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to walk you through how the application works in the browser, and then I'm going to dig into some of the code. So first of all, ShopList is a Sinatra shopping list application that allows users to create, edit, and share shopping lists with groups. This application illustrates basic CRUD actions in a simple content management system format. And the purpose of this app is to give users a place to collaborate on items needed for, let's say, groceries, potluck dinners, or other household shopping needs. All right, so let's get started. The first thing that you want to do is add this line to your terminal to clone the repository. So let's open up our IDE. All right, and then we will cd into ShopList. Now that we're in here, just look back here at the README file, and now we want to do bundle install. And now we want to migrate the database. And now we're ready to view it in the browser with Shotgun. You can just take this, paste it right into the browser. And here we are. So here we're on the welcome page, and it says ShopList, your place to share shopping lists with groups. It offers two different options. Either you can sign up or sign in. And the overall CSS here is actually the default from Cornel, which is a Sinatra app generator. So this just kind of comes default with it, and then you can go in and add in your own styling. Something I'd love to do eventually, but for the sake of this app, I really wanted to just kind of prove out the functionality. So let's go ahead and sign up. So here you're going to be prompted for a username. I'm going to use @Welsh. Let's see, I'll use my Gmail. And I'm going to do, instead of crazy cat lady, I will do password. Let's sign up. All right, so you can see here that I actually have a few items already added to the shopping list here. And it has a couple different options. So either I can add another item to the shopping list, or I can log out. So let's go in and add another item to the shopping list. And for this, let's say I'm going to add some wheat bread. So now when we add that item, we have a few different options. I can either edit it. Let's say maybe that wasn't exactly what I wanted. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe I don't really want wheat bread. Maybe what I want is multigrain. Let's edit that item. And I also have the option to delete the item, but I want to first check out and make sure that it's actually in the shopping list. So let's just return to the list. And as you can see, I'm back on the list page and multigrain bread is added. So let's go back into add another. Let's say, maybe your pet gets on the shopping list and they try to add an item like this under your account. Well, we don't really want that, but it doesn't make any sense. So let's make sure we can delete it. So go ahead and push delete item. And there you go, it's not going to show up in your shopping list. So one other thing that we can do here now is we can log out. And now that we're logged out, I'm just curious if it's going to allow me to see the items in the list. And as you can see there, it did not allow me to access the list because I haven't yet logged in. So let's relog back in. And there we are. So now we're logged back into our shopping list and we can go ahead and add in other items. So let's log out here and let's create a new user. So let's sign up. And let's say this user is going to be kittens. And let's say their email is meow@gmail.com. And for the sake of easiness, we'll just do password as their password. Okay, so now they're logged in, and as you can see, they can see the other items that have been added to the shopping list, but they're not able to edit these items. They can only edit the items that they have added themselves. So let's go on and add an item here. And let's add in some, what do kittens like? Yarn. Okay, so they've added this item. They can either edit it, delete it, or they can go back to the shopping list. So let's go back to the shopping list, just remembering that this item is the ID number 9 here. So now we can see that this is added here. Let's try to edit an item that was added by a different user. So we know that we've only, as the kitten, we've only added yarn, which is ID number 9. Let's see if we can edit 8. See, it won't let us do it because we don't own that item. But we do own yarn, so let's see if we can edit that one. And see here, we can actually edit that. So instead, let me edit it and say lots and lots of yarn. Perfect. And now let's go back to the list. Bam, we're back on the list, and as you can see, the edited item, lots and lots of yarn, is added here. So this sort of concludes the overall walkthrough. It gives you the idea that you can create users that have secure passwords, and the users are only able to edit the items that they personally add to the list. They can see what other users have added, but they're not able to edit those. If you have any questions about how this app works, please feel free to leave questions in the comments and I will definitely get back to you. Now I'd like to log out here. And now that we're familiar with the format of this and how it all works, I'd like to dig into how I've structured some of the code. So to begin this project, I started with a quick whiteboarding exercise. And in doing that, it helped me lay out some of the basic features of the app and the associations that I would need to build. And I'm going to dig into all those different elements in just a minute here. But what I first started doing after I had sort of all that whiteboard logic laid out, I started drafting the database migrations. So I knew that right off the bat I would need, excuse me, right off the bat I would need a model for users and I would need a model for items. So under app, I went to models, and as you can see here, I created a file called item.rb and one called user.rb. And under item, I knew that I needed to inherit from active record and that I wanted the item to belong to the user. And then under the user model, I'm going to dig back into some of this other code here in just a little bit, but what I wanted here was primarily to know that the user has many items, and that's the association, and this also does inherit from active record. So coming back here, the next thing that I did was go into the database, and I wanted to create migrations for creating migrations related to each model. So I wanted to create users table and to create an items table. So for the users table here, I wanted to make sure that the users had a username, an email, and a password digest. So using the password digest and within the model using has secure password allowed me to use the bcrypt gem, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, to protect and secure the password. And then under Create Items table, I wanted to make sure that the items had a name and also a user ID since they belong to a particular user. So now at this point, I want to dig into some of the controllers. So the first is the application controller. So the application controller inherits from Sinatra base. Basically what this inheritance does, it allows it to be a web application that can be launched in a browser. That's why we're able to actually launch this in a browser, is because it's inherited from what's included in Sinatra base. So as you'll notice here, I wanted to enable sessions and also set a session secret. So this allows the users to be tracked so that they can log in, log out, and so that when they're logged in, they don't lose any of the items that they added from a previous time that they added. So as you noticed from the demo walkthrough earlier, since I had already added items under that, since I had already added items to the shopping list previously, you could see that there were a number of items on the shopping list already. Sessions will also allow a logged-in user to view, modify, and delete items that they have added to the list, and it will restrict a user from modifying and deleting items that other users have added to the shopping list. So the next thing that you'll see here is a get and /do command, and it's directed toward the index view. And what this does is it points, whenever this program is run, it points the browser to the home page here, the index page. So the last job of the application controller is to verify that the current user is logged in. And this functionality can be accomplished with the helper methods that you see here. These helper methods will check to make sure that the user is logged in with this first method here, logged in. And that actually points to another method which identifies who the current user is. So the current user here, you can find the user by the session ID based on their user ID, as long as that session user ID has already been set. And that has been really useful in having these helper methods within the application controller, because otherwise they'd be very redundant in having to have them in each individual controller. Okay, so now let me show you the user's controller. So the user's controller is primarily going to allow the user to either sign up for an account or to log into an existing account. And when a user signs up for an account, the view form that goes to users/create user will prompt the user for its username, email, and password. And then this information will be saved, and a session user ID will be stored for this user. So you can see this here. And then when a user logs into an existing account, the view form user/login will prompt a user for their username and their password. And then the program, let me show you this here, to log in. And then what this code is doing is the program will prompt after it collects the username and the password, it will then find the user based on the username in the params hash. If the user is found in the params hash and it matches the user authenticated by the password that they put in, then they'll be allowed to access the list and their account. If these two do not match, here it will redirect them back to the sign up page. So now let's head into the items controller. So based on my logic from whiteboarding out this application, I knew that the items controller would have to have all of the CRUD actions here. It'd have to allow the user to create, read, update, and destroy any item that they personally added to the list, otherwise known any items that belong to them, and disallow the user to modify or delete an item that was added by a different user. Therefore, once a user is logged in, they can view the shopping list at /items. They can add an item to the shopping list at /item/new, and they can edit or delete an item that they added through /items. Then that particular ID for the item /edit. So looking at the code here, you can see that here we're going to the items list here, otherwise called the shopping list. Here, this is directing you to the form to create a new item, as long as you're logged in. And then it's coming back here to the controller after going through the view and taking the information that was input by the user and creating that new item and adding it to the list, as long as they're logged in. And then down here, you're able to look at a particular item based on its ID, as long as you're logged in, of course. And down here in this method, we have the item /ID/edit, and this allows you to find an item by the ID in the params hash, and then you're able to edit that item as long as that item belongs to the user that added it, which is the code here. And then very lastly here, or actually we have just a couple more. So instead of a regular post, this is a patch because it's not replacing, it's editing. And this item, after it's been edited, it will come back in here and it will be saved back into the params hash based on the ID. And that's as long as that item belongs to the current user and they're logged in. And then very lastly, we have the option to delete, which is also coming from the same form that comes through this edit request. And here, as long as you're logged in, you can find the items in the params ID, and then as long as that item belongs to the user, it can be deleted. If not, it'll bring you right back to the shopping list. And if you're not logged in, it will bring you to the login. So that just about covers everything within the controllers. I'm going to show you a quick look at the views page. So these are all the views correlated to the items. You can create a new item, you can edit an item, you can show the items list, the shopping list, or you can show just a particular item on that list. Just briefly show you some of the forms here. This is collecting the name for the new item. This here is allowing you to do a patch request to change the item's name. This is going to show you through an iteration all of the different items listed out within the shopping cart. And this is going to show you a particular item that has been added. and it'll give you the option to delete that item or edit that item. Now within users, we have the ability to create a new user, to log into an existing user account, or to just show the users. So here we have the option to sign up. It'll collect username, email, and password. Log in here, you're going to put in your username and your password. And here it's just going to welcome you and show you your particular shopping list. We have the index page here, which is the overall home page, welcoming you to the app and giving you the option to either sign up or log in. And then the last view that we have here is the layout. And the layout is the overall HTML code that will be shared across each page unless you have some code that you're yielding in here. So this is basically going to wrap all around each page, and then we're yielding in the code that we have in the other files within our view list. So let me just quickly show you. We also have an environment file. See if there's anything else here that I need to show you. So normally in the rake file, I would add in our own console. I would build a console to allow us to pry into the code as I was working through it. But for Sinatra, there's a very clever little gem that you can use, and I'll show it to you in the gem file here, called tux, right here, gem tux. And it acts just the same as building in a console would, in that it will take a look at all your migrations and it will account for that. So it'll allow you to completely run the program and pry into it as needed. All right, I think that, oh, and then lastly, I should just show you that in the config RU file, we have all of the controllers being used or run here. And we're also using rack method override. And what this essentially does is it allows us to run different post actions, which would include patching and deleting. All right, so I think that's just about it to show you how this app works, and I hope you enjoyed this video walkthrough. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I would be happy to answer any of those questions. Thanks so much for taking some time to walk through this with me, and I hope to see you again soon.